I had recently posted a video on YouTube on understanding the Gen Z and the specific challenges faced by Gen Z. And a lot of people replied saying, well, can you give us the solutions of what should we do and how do we deal with these generations, keeping in mind that they have very unique set of challenges. So today's video is the part 2 of that video, where I'm going to share certain points that we can keep in mind as parents of Generation Z and Generation Alpha, and what are the different behaviors we can do or how we can support this generation. So if you haven't seen the part 1, then please make sure you watch that video first before listening to this one. I'm Riri Trivedi. I'm a regression therapist, a parenting coach. And today I'm going to be talking about what can we do as parents of Gen Z and Gen Alpha in order to help them navigate through the current challenges better. The first, of course, is building connection with our children. Remember that the first guideline of my positive parenting series is connection over correction. So if you are communicating with your child throughout the day, be a child or a teenager, and if you feel that 80% of the time you are only correcting, then there is something wrong. Because when you are constantly nagging, criticizing and correcting your children, then obviously there is going to be a distance. There is going to be a lack of trust, they don't feel safe expressing themselves, and they just start becoming selectively deaf, which this generation is very good at. So I would say that of all the communication that you do with your children, make sure that 80% time is spent in connecting with them. How do you connect with your children or teenagers? Most of us Indian parents, whatever little time we get with our children, we instantly start advising them, giving them gyan, or correcting them. You didn't do this right, could you have done this better, etc. But instead, can we spend time just doing things with them? So one good way to build connection with children, depending upon their ages, is going out for trips, hiking trips, walking trips, just simply walking in the garden, in the market, playing some board games with them, listening to music together, doing some activity together, or just simply sitting with them when they are doing their work, just being around them. So these are all the different ways you can build communication. With more older teenagers, you can also share your feelings, share your emotions once in a while about what you are going through, or even share your own teenage years experiences with a touch of humor, so that there is a sense of connection that they develop with you. Because remember, when there is connection, then obviously these children are going to be much more conducive to listening to you. So if you are spending 80% of the time connecting and only 20% correcting, then they will listen to that 20% correction that you have to give. The second is, of course, whenever this generation is making mistakes or whenever they are falling, do not overreact, right? Because obviously all generations want to experiment, try out new things, do things that they are not allowed to do. Everybody has that instinct. So does Gen Z. But depending on how you react to their behavior, they will decide the next steps. So if as a parent you do not create a huge drama around their failures or mistakes, if you don't keep saying, oh, I told you so, oh, so you deserve this, or if you don't get very hyper, oh my God, what will happen, how could you do this, then they are going to feel safe to share more and more things with you. But if you overreact, create a huge drama around what they are sharing with you the first time, then second, third time, they will not share anything. In fact, there will be a lot of lies and deception. So your reaction to their communication with you, your reaction to their behaviors and actions is what will determine whether they will share things with you or not. At the same time, we don't have to be agreeing with what they are doing. We don't have to be endorsing what they are doing. We have to make sure we communicate what we feel is right and wrong. We have to be firm, but it can be done in a calm way without creating too much of a drama. The third point is try to adopt a balanced parenting style. A lot of parents are either very over-interfering, helicopter parents, over-authoritarian, or they are very permissive, which means there are no rules, no boundaries. They give all the freedom to their children because they feel giving the freedom and letting the child do what he or she wants is the best parenting style. Research says both these extreme parenting styles are wrong. So I would suggest that as parents of Gen Z, try to find that balance where you are not extremely authoritative and you are not extremely permissive either. So it is important to be firm. It is important to have rules and regulations that your children have to follow, but you can do that without being abusive and violent, and you can do that with a two-way communication. So it is important to listen to their point of view, because Gen Z has a very strong perspective. Remember, versus the previous generations, they have the maximum access to the information of the world. They have maximum access to different perspectives. At the same time, they have social media, you have YouTube, from where they get all kinds of information. So all the more important that you have two-way communication. Give them a platform to express their point of view. It doesn't mean you may agree, so agree to disagree, but at least make sure you listen to them. Engage them in whatever that you wish to do in terms of discipline, in terms of consequences and repercussions of their behaviors. Tell them what might happen once or twice, then let them see it and experience it for themselves. Which brings me to the fourth point, that keep your communication channels open, because like I said, Gen Z has access to all sorts of information. So do not believe that, if you don't discuss something, that means they don't know about it. They have access to more information than any of the previous generations. Do see my video on how to have difficult conversations with your children and how important it is to have difficult conversations. Because Gen Z and Gen Alpha know so much, it is important that we also have those discussions with them about topics that we may be uncomfortable about talking. For example, sexual orientation, or having safe sex, or porn addiction, phone addictions, relationships, deaths of family members. So this generation, there is very little, I would say, hypocrisy. They like to keep things very open, clean, clear and honest, because they have so much of information and awareness. As parents, it is important that we also be honest in our communications with them. If we have made mistakes, apologize, say that you have done something wrong and you are working on it. And for doing all of this, self-regulation for us parents is very important. If you want to implement all the suggestions that I give, it is important that you learn to stay regulated, because if you are extremely stressed, if you are highly triggered, very, very volatile in your anger and reactions, then there is a high likelihood that your child of Gen Z or Gen Alpha will not listen to you, will keep a very safe distance, will not engage much with you. So in order to have a good communication connection, it is important that we as parents learn self-regulation techniques. We learn to recognize our emotions, work on them so that we stay calm, we don't react. Remember, teenagers can be very reactive and impulsive, but if we also react in that way, then there is no difference between us and them. So if we want to maintain our position as parents, then we have to show some self-regulation. We have to model the behaviors that we are expecting our children to follow. In the previous generation, parents were supposed to be respected. The generations before us grew up not questioning their parents, even when they saw an obvious disconnect between what they practiced and what they preached. But this generation will not take it. They will not take that. They will call it out on your face. If you say that don't tell lies, and if you tell lies, they will catch you. So it is very important as parents to be very, very honest in our communication, model the behaviors that we want from them, and self-regulate ourselves so that we can do these behaviors. There are a whole lot of self-regulation techniques you can learn from the internet, from my YouTube channel, like EFT, humming, breathing, yoga nidra, meditation. Do all of that, because that will definitely help you to choose your response versus react. Next, I would also like to say that with this generation, the biggest challenge we are facing is these children are not independent. Gen Z, we call them as the soft generation or as a weak generation, is because the parents of Gen Z and Gen Alpha have been over-caring, over-nurturing, overdoing. Most of these parents are from a previous generation where they have been trained to be perfectionists, hustlers, struggle, come first, top it out, all of that. And hence, the kids have not been given the required independence or freedom, and also responsibility. So both of these have to go hand in hand. From a very young age, this generation has to be taught to be independent in their own activities, in their work, as far as their homework is concerned, clothes are concerned, food is concerned, etc. And with independence, they also have to be given age-appropriate responsibilities. For more details on age-appropriate independence chart and what are the responsibilities you can give, please wait for my book on parenting, which is going to be launched on 15th June. It is called This Book Won't Teach You Parenting, but it will make you a better parent. It is being published by Penguin Random House. So in that book, I have given detailed charts of what are the age-appropriate independence activities that you can teach your children and what are the responsibilities you can give them. So it is very important for Gen Z and Gen Alpha parents to know that children have to take on responsibility, give them responsibility, allow them to make mistakes, to fail and fall without overreacting. Because only when they are allowed to commit mistakes, they will learn from it. Right? This generation of Gen Z and Alpha is a generation growing up with extremely protective parents. Parents who are 2 steps ahead of their children when it comes to homework, classwork, friendships, etc. And hence this generation is not learning how to be emotionally or physically resilient, to be strong, to face challenges and to come out of it. So this is something that parents have to keep in mind. It is important to let your child be independent from a young age about most of the things that they can be independent about. And along with independence, they have to be taught the importance of responsibility. Give them small work around the house that they can be responsible for. Teach them mutual respect. This generation expects they be spoken to with respect, and only then they are going to give you the respect back. Talk to them about body shaming, bullying, cyberbullying, cyber crimes, and have that communication channel going so that they know that when they get into trouble, they can come and discuss this with you. Also, this generation is growing up with smartphones and social media, which has significantly reduced their physical activity. It has also reduced their ability to get bored, and from boredom comes creativity. So all these things are getting hampered. So, well, if your children are already teens, there is little you can do other than educate them. But if you are parents of Gen Alpha, then already start including a lot of physical activities from a young age. Put them in classes where they have no access to phones. So all that time can be used away from phones, away from social media, on more creative activities or physical activities, because both of these are extremely important for brain development. Last but not the least, have no gadget or gadget-free zones in the house. Have strict rules and regulations around social media usage, phone usage. Up till the time that they are 14 or 15, monitor their usage. Give gadgets to your children, not because you can afford them, not because you feel that that is a status symbol, but give them only when they show the responsibility of using it. Give them gadgets only when you are convinced that your child listens to instructions and handles these responsibly. If not, then teach them that responsibility, give them consequences, and only then give them full access to gadgets, internet or social media. If your child is using phone for commuting alone or for safety, then even a regular button phone or a dumb phone is enough. The child does not need smartphone with social media at an early age. So these are some of the tips that I think parents should keep in mind, but there are many more commonly asked questions, many more other specific pointers that we can keep in mind. But for that, you will have to go through my book on parenting, which will be available on Amazon on 15th of June. So do watch out, buy that book, because it is a very extensive, detailed book on parenting, why and how of parenting, what parents should do for their own self-regulation, and how they can handle kids at different ages, from infants, toddlers, preschool to teenagers. So these are some of the tips I have for parents of Gen Z and Alpha. If there are any other points that you feel I have not covered, do write in the comment section below so others can also benefit from it.